Hey guys, today we're here to check out meditation and see if that's a good treatment for anxiety. Let's go.
This is Kwadwo Adae. He's a meditation teacher.
All right, meditation. Tell us what meditation is.
So meditation is an ancient practice, but what it mostly has to do with is finding a way for the body using breath work to stay and be conscious of the present moment. That's really in a nutshell what it is. Now there's many different types and many different sects of meditation,
right.
But at its core, it's using breath work to stay in the present moment and really being aware and mindful of yourself in that moment.
So now there's different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different kinds. So what are some of the reasons why people decide that they're going to come and do meditation or do it on their own? Because you can do it on your own.
Yes, it's really good to do. It's really good to do. I was always told when I was learning that the worst meditation is the one that you don't do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are going to sit down and meditate, if you decide that that's something that you want to pursue, there are a multitude of ways to do that. And there's many different types of meditation. But the best thing to do is to make sure that you are seated, make sure that you are comfortable, and you can just make sure that you are breathing and aware of your breaths. So we usually start with sitting in a really comfortable seat, making sure that your back is straight, and then we start with some really deep in-breaths, really deep out-breaths, which kind of flood the body with nourishing oxygen and allows people to really just kind of sit, because we very much tend to plan about the future in our minds for work, for everything that we have to do, and if it's not there, then we are dwelling in the past, rehashing experiences, rehashing conversations and situations. But the only now that we have is right now.
Right.
So to be present and to be mindful of that, meditation kind of forces you to sit and be with yourself in that way,
Right.
which is really beneficial because there's nothing that's making us draw attention to the now.
Right.
Right.
And so what are the benefits? So people are like, oh, well, I just, because so many people will be like, oh, well, I can't do it because my mind, I'm thinking about too much stuff.
Right.
So it's becomes this whole well, what is it even going to do for me? Because I can't stop thinking.
Right. I can't sit still. I can't, my mind goes so much. I'm always going from pattern to pattern. And that is, we each individually have our own patterns of the mind that we are used to. And when you can take a moment to observe the patterns of your mind, that's really helpful to do. Because sometimes if we're trying to make ourselves aware of the present moment, we are, through sitting, seeing where our minds go and how they work. And you can't really assess or solve any difficulties or problems that you might have unless you know what the difficulties really are. And meditation is a great way to see, am I anxious? Is my breath, which is real truth, is my breath excited? Am I nervous? Am I anxious? Am I frightened about something? Am I worried about something I can control? Am I not worried about something that I should maybe give some more attention to? And just kind of sitting and focusing on yourself and focusing on that breath, that really, really important breath work. That helps you do that. There's a lot of benefit to it.
So it's awareness of yourself that how many people can say that they're aware of what's really going on in them?
Internally, yes.
Right.
Deep inside.
Yeah.
It's not like looking in the mirror in the morning
Yeah.
before you leave for work
Right.
or to school, but really consciously in here. What is going on inside me? What am I reflecting? How do I feel? How am I
Right.
at this current moment? And there's very little of that we are
Right.
conditioned to do in this society that is so fast-paced. And so there's just not a lot of time that people take to do it. So
No.
it's a really good thing to do.
So as far as treating anxiety, is this something that can help people that have anxiety?
Yeah, I believe so. If you are suffering from anxiety, it's usually because you have a fear about something, or maybe you're doubting yourself or your own capabilities, or doubting a situation. And there's lots of reasons why people are anxious about life. And sometimes that anxiety is very debilitating, can be very, very crippling. So if you are sitting and you are taking note and being aware of just your breathing, you're not allowing yourself the time to really worry about stuff. If you're worried about the future, if you're worried about the past, or your interpersonal relationships causing anxiety, it's usually something that's external. The meditation is the focus on the internal, and then how that internal kind of connects with others. So years ago, before I really started to meditate, I found that I was more of a reactionary person. Like, things would happen in life and I would react to those things. And after my meditation practice has been taken more seriously, I find that in these moments where I'm really taking a step back, I'm really seeing how the external world affects me. I'm slowing down, not really reacting to the knee-jerk, but just kind of, how does this make me feel? Is this making me anxious? Oh wait, I am anxious. How can I combat this? How can I be in control of the situations that I am in that are causing this anxiety? And it depends on how severe the anxiety that you're dealing with is, but even just sitting and being aware, being mindful, being calm, being in a place that is comfortable, being in a place where there are no external stressors. I find that there are some benefits for me personally, and those that have anxiety, I'm sure, could find some solace in a meditation practice.
I've found that, I'll meditate on my own, and I have found that just 5 minutes every single day, without even thinking about like, this is going to reduce my anxiety, so I should do it, but just doing it and then realizing that I'm not as anxious as I was yesterday, and then even less the next day, and less the next day. It's like you don't realize how much it's helping you because you're not focusing on like all the crazy stuff that's going on. You're just focusing on like, this is my relaxing time, and you have that to look forward to, and you've got that. Okay, now I can just sit and be, and I don't have to look at the phone, and I don't have to do all this other stuff, and there's not all this craziness, and it really does change. It's almost like it changes your mind flow in the process of doing it without realizing, like, I'm not doing it to do this, but that's the end result anyway.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a
Wonderful.
beautiful practice. Yes.
It is.
Yes.
So how often do you think, I know that after a week of doing it, I recognized that I was less anxious. So how often do you think the average person would have to do it, meditate, in order to feel that reduced anxiety in their life?
If you're beginning a practice, I would recommend at least sitting for 15 minutes. And I would work my way up from there. So the most meditators that are in a serious practice, I think a minimum is an hour. So it becomes less crazy the more you do it.
Yeah.
But I do an hour right after I wake up in the morning, and I do an hour right before I go to sleep. And that is my daily practice, and that is outside of any type of classes that I'm instructing. But that can be daunting for someone that's beginning for the first time. You want to work your way up to it. So I would say 15 minutes is something that is manageable if you're just starting out.
Right.
And then you'll find that the more that you do it, the more and the longer that you can do it for. I've done some retreats, some courses in meditation that have been 11 days of complete silence. I've done some Vipassana meditation is what it's called, where you sit, and if you follow the schedule, you're basically meditating for about 12 hours a day.
Are you thinking about stuff when that's going on, or are you just supposed to be completely clear-minded?
I don't know if anyone can be completely clear-minded.
Just blank for 12 hours.
Right. It's a very serious course of study. And it's very intensive.
Do they give you things like focus, like think of this for an hour, like focus on this for an hour, and then focus, or is it just kind of like just meditate the way that you meditate kind of thing?
The type of meditation for Vipassana, where it's a retreat where you're waking up at 4 and you have your set schedule, and you basically are living like a monk or nun for an extended period of time to really work on self-reflection. Vipassana is a more advanced meditation technique. It is one that I'm not qualified to instruct, but there's a series of events that need to happen before you can even do that technique. And that technique is ancient. It's at least 2,600 years old. Wow. They've been doing that technique, yeah. Because it originated in, just meditation itself, it originated in China, India, like well before the Common Era.
Right.
So these are ancient techniques that people have been using. So there is a relevance to the now,
right,
where we are less patient and we are more into instant gratification,
right,
and instant results. We are losing our sense of taking the time for ourselves.
Right.
Right. So it's really important.
Yeah.
It's really important. But for your beginner, I'd say about 15 minutes.
Yeah, so don't dive into like the 12-hour thing, just maybe like 12, 15 minutes, because that's more of a beginner's pace.
Yeah, you can work your way up to a half hour, to an hour.
And so do you so somebody who's a beginner, do you recommend that they try to focus on one specific thing? Like, think about, how you felt that day? Or do you recommend them trying to just clear their mind and focus on nothing for 15 minutes?
I would not recommend focusing on nothing. For a beginner, and even for someone that is a more intermediate practitioner, the one thing that I would recommend someone would work on is to focus on their breath. Just the breath. Something basic and simple like breath. And a lot of people feel like, when I speak to some of my beginner students, they sit the first time and then they find it like they failed. Like, well, my mind wasn't clear, I had some stray thoughts come in, I had this came, and I wasn't able to have an empty-minded meditation. And that's not something to be discouraged by.
No, I think that's what discourages a lot of people. They're like, well, I tried, but
I can't do it.
Yeah,
right? I can't focus.
Popcorn came into my head, and then I thought about the movies, and then 12 years ago I fell, and then I thought about that.
Exactly.
And so you're like, well, I ruined it.
Exactly. The mind will go from place to place, thread to thread, and
right,
you will move through this entire memory, and that's not bad to do. The breath is a constant in our physicality. There's a constant. Since we were born, we've been breathing. So that is a good way to drop into self, is to just focus on breathing in and breathing out. That keeps it simple. That keeps it focused in a way. And for 15 minutes, it's going to feel like an eternity, just
right,
feeling your breath, being aware of your breath will feel like a long time. But when that stray thought happens, you observe that thought, and then you just let it go, just like breath. You go back to the breath, back to the present moment, the inhalation and the exhalations of the body, and how you are alive at the present moment. You are breathing. That separates us from those who are in death. We are breathing. Our heart is beating. There's all sorts of things going on in our body that allow us to work and to be here. And focusing on that, focusing on the breath and the present for 15 minutes, that'll lead to some beneficial self-awareness.
right,
And some calm.
So anybody can meditate.
Anybody can meditate.
It's not just for, people that are masters of breathing or of any other type of thing.
Yeah, you don't have to be a monk or a nun to do it.
You could everybody's allowed to try it.
Yeah, it's helpful to have a clean environment, helpful to have a quiet place if possible. If you can draw your curtains and have it dark, maybe light a few candles. Some people do mantras where they're repeating a word, or some people just kind of have complete silence, or so certain conditions make it easier than others.
Right.
If you're going to be meditating on the street, you're going to have a lot of distractions.
Right.
If you're outside and it's snowing,
Yes.
there's going to be a lot of sensory information
Right.
that's going to be getting in the way. So
Right.
if you're inside and you're just calm with yourself and you're safe, it's a perfect time to try.
So anybody can try it. Anybody can do it. Don't get discouraged. I think that's a big problem, is that people think, well, I can't do it. So you automatically just think you can't. But if you go into it with an open mind of like, I could get progressively better, I think that's a big part of it, is it's not just something like you know how to do. Like, you have to practice it and get better at it over time.
And that's with anything.
Right.
That's with anything. We can talk ourselves out of anything.
Right.
But if we give time to anything, like, I can't fly a plane, but if you and I took flying lessons for the next year, I'm sure we could at least learn.
Right.
But that's why humans are incredible, because we can learn how to do things. But it's best to have a way to get into something.
Yeah. So just try it. Just try it a little bit.
Yes.
Don't do 12 hours. Do 15 minutes.
Yeah.
See how you feel. Well, get somewhere relaxed. Don't sit on the street. Don't be outside when it's snowing. It's too much.
Yes.
Get yourself in a relaxed place. Sit comfortably. Get the mood set. And just try meditation, because it feels really great. I mean, I love it. And, I'm not an expert, but we have one. So he's going to show us a little bit of meditation. And so you guys can do it at home.
Okay.
So let's try some of that.
The first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that your hips are slightly higher than your knees. You want to be as comfortable as possible. So if you want to get yourself a little blanket, if you want to get yourself a pillow, you can take one of your couch cushions off at home so that you're a little elevated, you can sit. You're going to have your back straight. Your mind is going to be alert. Your body is going to be relaxed. And you can just kind of feel the sensations in your body. And start to calm down. Don't worry about anything. Don't let the events of the day seep into your mind. Don't think about what has to be done for tomorrow. You stay in the present moment, here in this room. If you haven't done so already, you close the eyes. And you start with some deep, deep breaths in through the nose. Out the mouth. Deep breaths in through the nose. And out the mouth. You're breathing in clean, fresh energy. And you're breathing out everything that does not serve you. You flood the abdomen with breath. Allowing that nourishing oxygen to nourish all the cells in your body. Your back is nice and straight, like the tallest tree in the forest. You want to soften your shoulders, soften your forehead. I usually part my teeth slightly to make sure that I'm not holding any tension in the jaw. Your hands are open and relaxed. Your heart is open and relaxed. Your mind is open and relaxed. And you are soft. And you are completely safe. Completely comfortable. Serene. And at peace. A deep breath in. Exhale out. Take another deep breath in. Exhale out. You can place your hands at heart center. Start to wiggle the toes. Move the feet slowly. And give a thought to what you are most grateful for at this moment in time. And may our meditation practice allow us to be patient with ourselves and with others. May we use our hearts and our love and our compassion to guide us through our individual winding paths. May all beings be happy. And may all beings benefit from the fruits of our practice. Namaste.
Very relaxing.
How do you feel now?
Very relaxed. Nice and just, it's not a word I use a lot, but I'm gonna say centered.
There it is.
And that's what it's all about. So you guys are gonna come down, you gotta find some place to meditate and just breathe again. And treat your anxiety with meditation, because it is absolutely one of the best ways to get rid of it. Where should I go? There's no place to go. Yeah.
Alright,
Oh, they have oils on in there.
alright, ready.
Okay. Okay. Hey guys, here. We're here. We're here. We're just here. Okay. Hey guys, we're here. Oh my god, it won't come out of my mouth. We're here.
We're here.
We're here. Hey guys. Hey guys, today we're gonna check out Hey guys, today we're gonna check out meditation and see if that's a good treatment for yoga.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying this series, check out my new book, A Hot Mess's Guide to Getting Your Anxiety and Depression in Check, on Amazon right now. Go check it out. You won't be sorry.